friends, I hope you're doing well today. I am so excited because I am going to read to you one of my favorite books from all time from my childhood. I'll Take You to Mrs. Cole, written by Nigel Gray. That means Nigel Gray is the author, and illustrated by Michael Foreman. The illustrator draws the pictures. Really quick, I know you guys all know this already, but this is the front cover. Good job. This is the back cover. Great. And this is the spine. Wonderful. And one last thing, the page with the title on it is called the title page. Wonderful. Okay. When my mom came in from work and I hadn't set the table, she said, "If you can't do what you're told, I'll take you to Mrs. Cole." Mrs. Cole lived down the street in a dirty house, in a noisy house, with lots of kids under her feet. When my mom came in from work and I'd been playing battleships in the bath and had flooded the floor, she said, "Put on your hat and coat, I'm taking you to Mrs. Cole." I put on my hat and coat and waited outside the door. I wondered what it would be like at Mrs. Cole's. Ooh, he really did flood that bath, didn't he? Ooh. Perhaps her kids had no clothes, no TV, no treats, no toys. Perhaps she made them do dusting and polishing and washing the floor and whipped them when they fell asleep. Perhaps she gave them nothing to eat except cabbage and curly kale. Oh, scary. I wonder if she's really like that. Perhaps she kept them locked in a dark and dismal dungeon with green and slimy walls. Perhaps she fed them to her favorite pets, boa constrictors, alligators, and piranha fish. Then my mom told me to take off my coat and come back in. "I'll let you off this time," she said. "But next time you're bad, I'll take you to Mrs. Cole." That looks scary. Let's see what happens next. When my mom came in from work and I'd broken the window with a very bouncy ball, she said, "Put on your hat and coat, I'm taking you to Mrs. Cole." I followed her down the damp, dark street. We crossed the road and stood outside Mrs. Cole's gate. The lights were all over the house. The lights were on all over the house. There was music playing, thump, do-waddy-waddy, thump. I could see Mrs. Cole in the window. She was big and her face was red. She had a baby in her arm and she was stirring a wooden spoon in a great big pan, round and round, round and round. Perhaps she's gonna boil the baby, I thought. Perhaps she makes her children into stew. "All right," my mom said. "I'll let you off this time. Come on home with me. But next time you're bad, I'll take you to Mrs. Cole." Next day was Saturday. My mom had to go to work. "Do the dishes," she said, "and make the beds, then get the shopping. I've left a list. And make sure the table's set before I get home for dinner. And don't be doing any damage or I'll take you to Mrs. Cole." After she'd gone, the apartment was quiet and lonely and cold. I looked at the dirty breakfast dishes on the table. I looked at the crumpled sheets on the beds. I decided to run away. That doesn't seem like a safe decision. I went out into the misty morning street. People bustled by with shopping bags and no one noticed me. A car drove through a puddle and splashed dirty water on my legs. I crossed the road. I stood outside Mrs. Cole's house. The gates were hanging from one rusty hinge. Weeds filled the front garden, taller than me. It was like a jungle from a Tarzan film. The paint was scraped off the front door, and there was a piece of cardboard where glass should be. The lights were on all over the house, even though it was daytime. And there was music blaring out, and a dog barking, and children shouting. Mrs. Cole was still in the window. I could see her making toast and frying eggs, and she still carried the baby in her arm. So she hadn't boiled it after all. I stood waiting in the grim gray street. I wanted to run away, but I didn't know where to go. Then Mrs. Cole came. "Hello, me lover," she said. "What are you doing in the cold without a coat? You'll catch your death." She was big and red with straggly hair and a scruffy cardigan and a great big smile. "I'm running away from home," I said. "Running away from home?" said Mrs. Cole. "Does your mother know?" "No," I said. "My mum's at work." "Well, you best come in, me lover," she said, "and get warmed through." I wondered if it was really a trick, if Mrs. Cole was really a kidnapper by trade. And once I stepped inside, her smile would vanish and a net would drop on me from the ceiling, and no one would ever know where I'd gone. But the street was cold. Mrs. Cole smelled of bacon, and her house looked warm. She took my hand and we went inside. In the hall there was a pile of dirty clothes, a broken carriage, a pajama leg, and 3 shoes, 1 red, 1 brown, 1 blue. In the kitchen, at the table, was a big boy with a small boy on his head. There's a lot going on in that picture, isn't there? There were 3 cats among the dishes on the table and 1 on the windowsill who watched the goldfish swimming in the tank. A terrapin sat on a stone and stretched out his neck. In the corner, a black dog lay dozing in a cardboard box while 4 puppies were feeding from her teats. 2 cages hung from the ceiling. In one was a yellow canary who sang, and the other 2 parakeets, 1 blue, 1 green, who chirped and kissed. Look at that cat and the fishes. Or the fish, I should say. What a wild household. On an old settee, a girl and boy were eating toast and talking with their mouths full and dropping crumbs, but Mrs. Cole never told them off. The baby lay on the settee without a diaper on, kicking its legs. A little girl without any knickers tottered around the kitchen floor. The oven door was open, and the oven was on to make the kitchen warm. Mrs. Cole sang a song with a singer on the radio, and it didn't give her a headache. She made me a bacon sandwich and a cup of tea. "How many sugars?" she asked. 3, I said, and she gave me 3. My mom only lets me have 1. "Mom," said the girl on the settee, spraying crumbs all around the room, "Polly's done a piddle on the floor." Mrs. Cole got a cloth and wiped it up, and she never stopped from singing the song she sang. There was shouting and squealing and bumping down the stairs. A girl ran in, chased by a boy, and they fell in a heap on the kitchen floor. The girl shrieked, "Mum! Mum! Michael's tickling me! Stop him, Mum!" "Leave her alone," said Mrs. Cole, "or I'll hold you down and let her tickle you too." Oh, let me show the picture. Picture is important. What a lively, happy woman. "But she won't feed the rabbits, Mum, and they'll starve to death." "It's not my turn." It is. "Well, me and Polly will feed the rabbits," said Mrs. Cole. "Won't we, Polly, me lover? And you 2 can do them tomorrow. Today, you've got a new friend to play with. When he's finished his tea, take him with you and treat him nice." I played all day, and Mary and Michael came in to help me do housework when I was going home. Mrs. Cole said, "Come back and play, me lover, anytime you like." Wow. Look at how many friends are dressed up in that picture. Look at the rabbits. What a wild house. Nowadays, my mom says, if you're good, you can go and play at Mrs. Cole's. Because at Mrs. Cole's, they always treat me nice. All right, friends, I love that book. I loved reading it with you. One thing I want you to think about. Sometimes, if we're having trouble following the rules, it might not be because we don't want to follow them. It might be because we just need to get out and be a little bit wild every now and then. So if you're feeling like you're having a hard time listening, ask your mom and dad if you can go run around outside a little bit. Run around in the backyard, or play with blocks, or if they'll play hide and seek with you. Just ask if you can do something that lets you be a little bit wild, just like they are at Mrs. Cole's. I love you, friends. I look forward to seeing you soon. And as always, stay as happy and healthy and safe as possible. Bye.